That's the title. Can can your man discipline your children? Now, when I say man, this is a disclaimer. When I say man, I'm not talking about some dude you met on Facebook. Okay? When I say man, I'm literally talking about like your husband, someone you have a commitment with. I'm not talking about some guy you just met around the corner and you just dating. So when you hear me speak and say, yo, man, this, that, that's what I'm referring to. I put man for a reason because I still wanted people to have a voice. Because if I was to put husband, then I believe that some women who are shacking up or cohabitating, they may feel that they don't have a voice because that's not their husband. Even though I do believe it should be your husband, I still want them to be able to have a voice. So that's why I decided to put man. So when you hear me say that, I'm referring to people who are committed in a relationship and married. That's what I'm referring to. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there real quick. So with that being said, let's get right into the show. Brother Ron, say something again. Let's see if we can hear you now. Nah, we still can't hear you. Let's hope that can work soon. Yeah, it says your mic is on. Hopefully it'll come up. All right, so y'all see the title. So we're talking about discipline. When we say discipline, right? That is the practice of training people to obey rules or a core or a code of behavior using punishment to correct. So that's what discipline is. When you use punishment to correct a behavior in a person, or if you're trying to get someone to obey a particular rule or have a particular type of behavior that you have established for them. So you will use punishment in order to get them to comply or to teach them the way that you want them to basically live, or whether they live in your roof or they're your boss or whatever. So that's what discipline is. Now, when we say punishment, a lot of people look at punishment one kind of way, like somebody just beating your behind. That's what people be thinking punishment is. Now, punishment, beating your behind could be a form of punishment. But when we say punishment, this is another disclaimer. When I say punishment or I say discipline, I'm not talking about somebody choking you out and beating you. So I don't want nobody coming on here saying, oh, it ain't right that you punish children. You got to really look into what is punishment. What is punishment? Okay, so we're going to get into that real quick. So there are 5 most common punishments. One is spanking. One is withdrawing or withholding. So basically, withholding or withdrawing is taking away a privilege, something like a planned trip or anything that belongs to the child. Lecturing can be a punishment. Nagging, scolding, even yelling can be considered a punishment. Grounding is also a punishment, not allowing them to do anything but what the parent allows them to do. And then isolation can also be a punishment, giving them a timeout. They had to be alone or away from anyone else. So go in your room by yourself or something like that, or go in a corner, or you can't have no friends over. So when you hear us saying, yes, you should discipline, yes, you should punish, do not think that we're saying to beat the child all the time or choke them out or abuse them. That I don't know why people associate that with abuse when there's so many different uh, ways of punishing someone or disciplining. It's a better way to say it. So with that being said, we're going to get right into it. This is what I want to know. So I had a brother that said to me that when he started changing his faith, he started changing his faith. He started believing in certain things. So certain things in his household had to obviously change. Mm-hmm. So let's give an example, like pork. Mm-hmm. He don't want pork in his house no more because he decided that pork is unclean, and based on his faith, he's just not doing it no more. But let's say that the father is in that child's life, and the father takes him to lunch or brings him food with pork on it, and then they bring it into the house. What does that situation look like for the mother and her husband and then the biological father?
Well, if the mother is on the same page, then that's easy. This is what we decided. and you knew, so you shouldn't have brought it in here. Or, because if he takes them to eat and they out, then they're doing what they're doing while they out. But if you bring it back to my house and I don't want it in here, then don't be mad when I throw it away. I mean, I'm one of those. I'm a tough one, So I think that just is what it is. But the father um has to respect the wishes of this man who's now the head of the house, and the man who is now the head of the house needs to have enough respect to be able to talk to that father and say, hey brother, I know you bought him this, but you know we trying not to do the not do the poor thing. Or it's ways that things could be worked around. I'm not saying diminish from what the father is doing at all. You're still the father, but you're not the man of this house. I'm the man of this house.
Dr. God Hop, I see you there. I know you here. Don't act like you not there. Where you at? Where you at?
Well. What in a dysfunctional family situation is going on here?
I'm glad because you're the only brother here. We had another brother here, but his internet wasn't working. We couldn't hear him.
I wish I could have been here from the beginning, Queen. I was working. I'm just leaving work, so I'm on my way home.
You good. I know you're busy. So I'm gonna give you a brief run through, and then I want to hear what you got to say. So we were talking about punishment. Now, when we say punishment, Zadok, we are not talking about beating, because I think people think that every time you say punish, they automatically conclude that means beating. Punishment can be spanking, taking away privileges, lecturing, grounding, or even isolating the child from not being with their friends. So when we hear discipline or punishing, we don't mean just beating. But with that being said, the question that was on the floor was, the scenario was your wife and her ex is getting into a disagreement and a discussion about the parenting of that child. Mm-hmm. And a situation came around where they can't find a reasonable common ground on the issue. Do you believe that the stepfather should be getting involved with the discussion between his wife and the ex concerning that child?
I would say it depends. I would say that the situation may call for yes, or it may call for no. And so you know how, huh?
Give me an example of where it would be yes and where it would be no.
Well, I would say if you don't like the nigga, then you ain't gonna be able to speak to him peaceably. You're not gonna be able to be a fair judge, because what if your wife is being unfair? So depending on who the man is, and I think also to respect the other. Now remember, you're talking about mediation. Of course, you got the right to your opinion, no doubt. You could let it be known, hey, I don't feel this, that, and the third. But if they can't come to an agreement because you respect that is that man's son or daughter, and that's, of course, your wife's son and daughter, it's his ex who is your wife. So put it like this. By Yah's grace, this year I'll be celebrating my 24th year of marriage to my wife. And I'm a stepfather. My wife had sons when I met her. And the youngest of them actually, when I got with my wife, he was 5 and he's 30 now. And he actually works for my construction company. So I know what it is to raise him. And I'm someone who was a stepson all my life. I don't remember my dad because him and my mom worked in items since I was 2. I'm almost 50 years old. So my entire life is experted in this very thing. And so I'd say that if the man, put it like this is when I believe you can mediate. When even the father of the children respect you enough as a man to say, yo, bro, she not being fair, bro. You know how she is, man. Come on, bro. Like, just hear me out. Like this, that. And
you guys ever had in your mind something that you really wanted to just come to life? Well, that's what happened to me. I already imagined in my mind what I wanted, but I didn't know how to actually make it a reality. Well, that's where I reached out to my brother, myhustlingplus.com. This man took my old logo and just in a few questions was able to create something that I had already had in my mind visually. This brother doesn't just do logos. He does flyers. He does web designs. He does graphic design, video creations, anything that you can just have in your mind and you want to be able to visualize it and put it on paper and use it for your business or for your company. You got to check my boy out. All you got to do is contact him on myhustlingplus.com. myhustlingplus.com. Or you can even hit him up at 323-207-9542. And when you get there, tell him Let's Talk Podcast sent you.